Move to item 10J, Wildlife Damage Management Committee. I'm sorry, Brad. We almost skipped you.
I wasn't going to correct you,
I
but
know,
you
I see
corrected
that.
yourself.
Close item 10H and go to 10I, Tag Allocation Application Hunt Committee Report. Commissioner and Committee Chair Johnston, informational. The report will be provided on the committee's recent meeting. Commissioner Johnston.
Thank you, Chairman Drew. The Tag Allocation and Application Hunt Committee met this morning. Just by way of background, we had received prior input as to topics to add to the open topic list for the TAC committee. At our last meeting, we included those on the topic list and weighted them at 1, 2, or 3. For everyone who's not familiar with the list, a weighting of 1 means it's likely, 2, it has merit, and 3, it is doubtful. We had about a 20-page list of topics, and if you go through them, it's approximately about 150 topics. But about 65% of them were weighted a 3 or doubtful. And so what we did to try to make this list a little more manageable this morning was to, we agreed to remove all but, I think it was 4 items weighted as a number 3 from the open item list to the closed item list to make this a little more manageable of a list. We also weighted 1 additional item of 3 today, and it was also removed onto the list. So the next step and what the commission can expect is we want to start bringing things to the commission that are on this list that need to be moved forward. And what I expect that we'll do between now and the next meeting is address some of those items, and the public and the cabs in particular should focus on these items, which will probably be the topic of discussion at the next TAC committee meeting, within possible recommendations to the commission. In particular, the waiting period for bull elk, changing it from 10 years. There are a lot of suggestions to move that to 5 years, both for successful and unsuccessful hunters. The PIW draw sequence. There is a lot of topics on this about potentially having the transferability of tags from adults to youth or youth apprentice hunts, and various iterations on that. I also noted that on this list is the antelope waiting period of 5 years, and I know there's been some consideration of that waiting period as well. So what we hope to do, and there's only a couple items on the list that are actually weighted at number 1 as likely. And so what I'm hopeful we can do is address those topic lists or those items, bring them to the commission with some sort of recommendation as to action that could be taken, or get the department working and what needs to be done to make the change. And then from there, in future meetings, I think we'll be starting to look at these items that are in no man's land right now, with a 2 of having merit, and addressing which one of those need to be moved forward, and if so, what priority. I don't know if Commissioners Valentine or Moore, I have anything to add, but that's where we stand now. So I'm hoping that the next topic list that everyone sees will be about 9 pages instead of 20. I'm hopeful, and be a little more manageable for everyone to work with and follow.
Okay, again, I appreciate the committee's work. You guys have been slogging through a lot of different topics for a long time, and you're making progress, which is good, and I appreciate that, and I'll work with you to get things scheduled as appropriate. So with that, questions for Commissioner Johnston or other committee comments, committee member comments? All right. Oh, Director Wasley.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I received some correspondence from the Nevada Outfitters and Guides yesterday. I believe that was passed on to the committee from staff, Operations Division Administrator Bob Hoyen. They brought an issue they would like to see the committee consider, and that is the eligibility of hunters who apply for the non-resident guided hunt to put in for PIW tags as well as a second chance drawing. Just would be remiss if I didn't mention that correspondence.
And that was noted at our committee meeting, and I suspect at our next meeting that particular item will be on our agenda for addition to the topic list, and then we'll do the initial process of evaluating it and assigning it a weight of 1, 2, or 3.
Additional questions or comment? All right, seeing none, thank you, Commissioner Johnston. Now we will close 10I and open 10J. Wildlife Damage Management Committee, Commissioner and Committee Chair Bliss, informational. The committee chair will provide an update on recent committee activities and plans. Commissioner Bliss.
Thank you, Chairman Drew. Wildlife Damage Management Committee held a meeting last night at the Endell office. Purpose of the meeting was to address Policy 23 and try to bring it. Well, there's two reasons that we're addressing Policy 23. The first reason, I guess, is to try to bring it up to date with Assembly Bill 78 to take in the legislative changes that occurred and then incorporate that into the way that that policy reads. Second part of looking at that policy is since we developed it, this was actually the first complete year that we went through the whole policy to see how it works, see, what worked good, what might have been, we could have taken out or something we might not have needed, or any changes to make it flow any better. I feel like the committee did a really good job. We're at the point now that we're ready to bring the policy to the full commission to get your input and the rest of the general public's input in on the policy. There is one part that was brought up at the meeting that we need to get some legal clarification on, and that was the raw data that is given to the department by the contractors. There was a desire for the general public to see that raw data. The committee was unsure of itself as far as how much of that raw data should be given out. We're thinking about den locations, trap lines or sites, or we're just not real sure on what should go out, what shouldn't, or if it all can be. So we want to get a little bit of, we'll get some advice and some language. Staff will get some language put together for when that comes to the full commission. Let me see. As far as the way that the policy flows, I think it works really well. I think it gives a guideline for the department and the committee to follow throughout the year, and when we're going to look at things, and there's deadlines and times that things have to be done. The one part that we suggested to remove from it is the September committee meeting. That meeting of the subcommittee was to look at the preliminary data, the kind of the raw data, what everyone's what the discussion is. But as we looked at that, some of it wasn't complete. It wasn't put. The department doesn't have enough time to put all that together. We don't have it all in. Well, it might all be in, but it's just not compiled in a manner in that time period to do us much good. I think it causes more confusion and could get folks going off on a different track without having all of the data presented. It still makes the contractors doing the work. They still have to report on a certain day, all of that's still there. And then without that September meeting, the department still would give their final report at the end of the year. So we just feel it was an unnecessary meeting with information that wasn't current. We didn't have all the information. So that's basically about all we did. But I would in the future, I think we can bring it to the full commission, have our first look at it, get input from the commission and the cabs on what we did, and workshop it, and then bring it back again for a final view. So if there's any other comments from the committee anything that I left out.
Okay, again, I appreciate that, and probably one announcement to make too, and I don't know if she's here, but past Commissioner Lane is no longer on that committee. Commissioner Hubbs has since taken her spot, and I appreciate that. And again, I appreciate all the committee members' work. I know it's not an easy subject or topic, and Policy 23, I think, was a good starting point. We had some changes that we needed to make internally and some externally, and I appreciate you all moving that forward. So appreciation to the committee members with a note on the one change. Any questions or further comments? Okay, hearing none, we'll close item 10J and move to item 10K, litigation report. Mr. Deputy Attorney General Harry Ward, in place of Mr. Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. For the record, Harry Ward. I'd like to give you a brief update on the TCID case. 4 days ago, I received a judgment from the United States District Court, and it's just going to be easier for me to go ahead and read it, and then I'll get into the background. This is the most important thing. This judgment imposes no individual liability against the Board of Directors of the Truckee-Carson Irrigation District or the State of Nevada through its Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Division of Wildlife, and Division of State Lands. This case originally started in 2003, and I think that's why we were the Division of Wildlife. It's an appeal of a judgment against TCID for excess diversion of water, and I appealed to protect its water rights and its interests. We asserted, or NDOW asserted, that it did not even own its water rights during the 1973 and 1988 recoupment periods, and therefore should not be penalized for any excess diversions. We also argued that we did not receive any water rights in excess of its rights. We also argued that we did not receive any water rights in excess of the rights that were diverted. We did not benefit from any excess diversions by TCID, and we did not purchase any of the rights with notice of any prior claims. And finally, we did not participate in or have any knowledge of any over diversions. Once again, I'm going to go back and read from the order of the judgment. Judgment is hereby entered in favor of the United States and the Pyramid Lake Paiute Tribe of Indians and against TCID for excess diversions and spills in the amount of 335,908 acre-feet. All individual water rights owners as class defendants are bound by this judgment, but shall have no individual independent liability under the judgment. Once again, this judgment imposes no legal liability against the Board of Directors or the Truckee-Carson Irrigation District or the State of Nevada through its Department of Conservation and Natural Resources, Division of Wildlife, and Division of State Lands. I'm available for any questions.
Questions for Mr. Ward?
And I'll have this in written form for the next litigation update as to update the litigation report.
If there's no questions, I will close item 10K, which will conclude our informational reports under item number 10. We'll move to item number 11, which is public comment period. Persons wishing to speak are requested to complete a speaker's card and present it to the recording secretary. No action can be taken by the commission at this time. Any item requiring commission action may be scheduled on a future commission agenda. Public comment in Las Vegas. All right. Public comment in Reno.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Bobby McCollum. I have a short comment. I attended a CAB meeting this week to ask some questions about two items on their consent agenda. My questions were fairly simple. They dealt with population numbers on two of the regulations you're going to hear tomorrow. The chairman of the CAB could not provide answers and explained they are an advisory board which recommends whether to open a season. A reasonable person would assume that population numbers are a key element to know when considering whether to recommend opening a season. I was not offered any guidance or advice from any CAB member, such as who to contact to obtain answers to my questions. And no one offered to obtain the information and contact me. Within the CAB manual, it is written, the CABs advise the Commission on the management of wildlife by gathering information from area sports persons and local input through meetings in their county. Many members of the public may come to your CAB meetings seeking answers to the same questions you had. CAB members are encouraged to contact the appropriate division or individual presenter assigned to that agenda item with their questions as soon as possible so that we can give you the answers you need. Since the CAB was unable to answer my questions locally or offer any guidance about obtaining answers, I left the meeting with 2 additional questions. Why must a member of the public attend 2 meetings in an attempt to get answers to some simple questions? And how can a recommending body offer opinions on whether to open a season if the population numbers are unknown? Thank you.
Thank you. Next question in Reno, or public comment?
Yes, for the record, Fred Volz. 4 final comments for today. The first one, is it going to take the National Guard or Army Corps of Engineers to reliably provide audio-video connections to remote commission meeting sites? Intermittent and poor audio quality with people who mumble or speak too fast are recurring problems. After 3 years of dithering, this problem needs a really permanent solution. You've been hearing about this for a very long time, and we still don't have it fixed. Second, commissioners who give legal opinions or legislation interpretations need to be advised not to do so, as their roles are not as legal counsel for the commission. Specifically with AB 78, there is no need to spend money if there are no worthwhile lethal projects added to a plan. Regarding the money, it's not a use it or lose it situation, which government agencies usually fear. Money rolls to the next year. Third, there is a problem with commissioners who miss multiple meetings or who place personal recreation ahead of attending commission or committee meetings. Such absences demonstrate a lack of commitment, and those individuals should be asked to resign. And finally, when poorly documented lethal projects have no specific objectives or measurement of intended and unintended consequences, these are not emotional objections or criticisms, but legitimate holes in logical, analytical research. Such holes lead to bad science and bad public policy. Thank you.
Next public comment in Reno?
That's it for Reno. Thank you.
Thank you. Elko, any public comment?
No comment in Elko.
Okay. Thank you, Remote Sites, for manning the phones today and fixing our technical glitches. With that, we will adjourn the meeting for today. We'll reconvene tomorrow, Saturday, January 30th at 9 a.m. in this same building. 2 Remote Sites will have phone lines open. Thank you and have a safe evening.